Hello good people of Nelson, welcome again to this instalment of Mainland's Elections Special. I've had a number of people comment on the quality of questions that I'm getting from persons on the street. I would like to take this moment to point out that I will take any questions from people on the street. However, the problem is that people are not prepared to put their face to their question. And I cannot ask the questions myself as I am a candidate, and this would lead to a debate, which is not the aim of this program at this point in time. So wherever you see this sign or this car with me driving it, I will take your questions anytime and any place. As the saying goes, if you don't vote, don't complain. And if you don't ask a question, it can't be answered. If you would like more information on the issues, please visit Nelson Residents Association's website or drop into their kiosk in the Farmers Arcade on Saturday mornings. They also have an office above the arcade which is open during normal working hours, and you can talk with the friendly informed residents about your election concerns and can see which candidates support the good work the Resident Association does. Now Courtney, you're standing as a candidate in the local election. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'd love to, Graham. I hear you are standing too.
I am.
You are. Well, I'm standing because I think I have the experience. As you know, I was Member of Parliament for Nelson for 6 years. In my 30s, 6 wonderful years actually. The 6th year was the best. I spent that as an independent, left the party after 5 years, and then spent the 6th as an independent, so that's experience that I think would be helpful on council. As well as that, I was on the council previously in my 20s, as a 20-year-old, through into my 30s, and that was for 9 years, and I was also chairman of the Finance Committee during that time as well. So I have quite a bit of experience in local government and central government. As well as that, I have the business experience, having had a number of supermarkets in the Nelson region over a period of time and actually employed more staff than the council do now. So there's some qualifications there. Employed a large number of people and had a number of supermarkets, 5 in fact, over the Nelson region during my time. So there's a lot of experience there, and I think Nelson needs that experience. The council needs that experience at the moment. I think they are drifting a bit. They seem to malaise has come over them somehow, and they don't seem to be doing things the way they should. There's a lot of infighting, which is not good, and people don't like that. And I think I could give a bit of leadership there, and I think that's what it needs.
They're good. That's all good, Mel, and it's very impressive. And why do you think the good people of Nelson should vote for you over the rest of them?
Well, I want to be their voice. I think they can trust me to be their voice. Way back when I was on council, people would say to me, there's something different about you, Mel, we can't put our finger on it. And the difference is that I'm not the fountain of all knowledge. I don't know all the answers. I'm there. The council employs 220 people, experts in their field. What we're there to do is to be the mouthpiece for the people, the voice of the voters, the ratepayers, and so that's what I do. And so I hope to be able to go into council with the support of the Nelson people and be their voice.
Great, Mel. We went down to we had a candidates market at the Saturday market this weekend, and we got some questions from the good people of Nelson for the candidates, and we'd like to have the candidates answer those questions.
I'd love to.
I want to know, will you support and push for a living wage of $19.80 an hour to not only minimum waged council workers, but also the people who gain from the lucrative contracts that they get from council?
Yes, I would most definitely support a living wage, not just for council employees, but for their contractors, simply because why should one sector be separated or treated different to another? So most definitely, Christine, I would be in support of that.
What are you going to do to provide more cost-effective transport from Nelson through to Tasman for people that work and live in the city?
Kathy, that's a very good question. I think transport is at the forefront of our minds at the moment, getting people in and out of the city as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So I would examine all the present routes to see that they are economic or being supported. And if I could push funds through to the Nelson to Richmond route to make that more viable, I would support that.
What is it that you're proposing to do for Stoke, which I kind of refer to as the forgotten suburb?
Stoke is very important. It's the fastest growing suburb in our region, and a lot of attention has to be given to that, and we've got to strengthen that community. We've got to do a lot more for Stoke. I know they're getting a community centre. Incidentally, they're getting a very expensive community centre, $7 million worth. I think that's a bit exorbitant, but nevertheless, it's in progress now. I wouldn't have wanted to pay that much for it, but the need is there, and I think we've got to look to every other area for youth, for children, for young people, for teenagers. I know the St Barnabas Church is doing a good job in that area, but we've got to look at every opportunity to strengthen the community of Stoke. In fact, all communities. I'm very strong on strong communities. You have a strong community and you have a strong nation, so you can be assured that I will be doing all I can to strengthen the community of Stoke, no question about it.
Mal, they were all great questions from the community, weren't they?
They were interesting, weren't they?
Mal, and are there any other issues you'd like to raise as well as your own questions?
Well, not issues. The thing is, I want to get Nelson moving. I think there's a little too much infighting. They're not concentrating on the job. They're running a big business there. The Nelson City Council is a big business. It's got $1 billion worth of assets under its management. It has 220 staff, expenditure of $132 million a year. They've got to keep their mind on the job and get things done. I want to see the Trafalgar Centre open properly, not just for one of the Mayor's friends, for a few sports events, but completed, open and running again so that we can bring conferences to Nelson. I want the School of Music open, I want the Suter Art Gallery open, I want the airport retained in the management of the council, 50%. I want the port company to be totally 50% owned by the council, not sold off part of it to some other port. I really want things to get moving. I want a seaside boulevard as we go around the Rocks Road area there, and I want to see the centre of the city livened and try and entice business to come back to Nelson. Give them incentives if need be to come and start businesses in the centre of the city, to give jobs to the people. So there's a lot to be done. There really is. There's a southern link through to our port. Our port is growing tremendously. It's going by growing export growth of 200 million a year, and our population's growing by 100 people a month. So we've really got to get our act together, Graham, and get on with it. And that's what's concerning me. If you're doing all this infighting and the inexperience from some of those younger councillors is a worry, and it's costing us. It's costing us jobs and it's costing us progress.
Great, Mel. Thanks very much for coming on board, and we'll see you around on the campaign trail.
Look forward to that.
Yes.
Hi everyone, I'm Gary Watson and I'm standing for the Tasman District Council's Mootri Waimea Award for Council. The TDC has some big challenges ahead, and I believe it's important the council have successful people with business skills and experience that know how to manage money, your hard-earned money, wisely. I want to see a considerable reduction in unnecessary red tape that is adding huge costs to all ratepayers, new home owners, businesses and farmers. Rate increases must be kept below inflation and more fairness introduced on a number of issues across our region. My wife Christine and I operate a number of companies including Mainland TV, radio and online, and we've lived in the Motueka Valley for over 36 years. We love the people, we love the climate, we love the environment, and I am passionate to make Tasman better the way you want it.
Nelson Tire Center. Great prices, great service. Buy your own Bryford trailer. All types, all sizes.
Hi, I'm Carlin from Nelson Tire Centre. Come on down for a good deal.
We're the team at JCar, right here in Nelson, 120 Hardy Street. Our shop is full of electronic items,
including security alarm systems, electronic components,
solar and power,
electronics, toys,
sound systems, cables and much, much more. JCar.
120 Hardy Street, Nelson.
I'm Kip Mailing and I'm standing for Mayor of Tasman. First of all, I'd just like to give you a bit of my background. I spent 24 years in the police and 12 years orcharding, and I returned to Tasman to live some 18 years ago because I had an elderly father that we wanted to be close to. I'm standing for Mayor because I want to make a difference to our district. I'm concerned about what is happening with our current council. They're not focused on core services. They've also increased staff hugely over the last 9 years. What's happened in Mapua with an overspend of $500,000 and $1.8 million on a commercial building is not core services and should not have been done. There are plenty of developers in Nelson and Tasman that would have built that building and not involved ratepayers' money. It's an indictment on this council that we can't fix stormwater in Motueka and flooding issues in Murchison, and we're spending $1.8 million on a commercial building. That should not happen. So I want to see a council that is focused on core services. Rates affordability is another issue, and the increase in staffing has caused part of this problem. Rates should not go up above inflation, and in the last 9 years they've gone up above inflation every year. This year they went up 1%, inflation is running at 0.4. The next subject I want to discuss is our environment. I'm a keen trout fisherman and I also go sea fishing. We need jobs and we need to improve our environment as well, and that means protecting our waterways and ensuring that we're not damaging our environment with our development. I also support the Lee Valley Dam. I have been involved in irrigation for a number of years, and if we don't build this dam soon, we will lose funding from government. They are looking at putting in a considerable sum of money to help irrigators fund this project, and it will also provide water for Richmond. Without the dam, we have 1,000 jobs at risk on the Waimea Plains. That will affect our economy hugely and our district. And the last subject I'd like to really talk with you this morning is the Southern Link. It is increasingly difficult to get in and out of Nelson from Tasman. When I came to Nelson as a 10-year-old 50 years ago, there was talk of the Southern Link then. Our population has increased hugely, and it can now take an hour to get from Nelson City to the other side of Richmond. We need to improve the flow of and volume of traffic from our key infrastructure areas, the port. The one way to do that is with the Southern Link. So I won't have met all you people. We have a difficult district to get around, but I've spent time in Murchison in the last few days. I've also been at Lake Rotoiti. I go to Motueka. I've been to Golden Bay, and over the next few weeks I'll be visiting every district and every township that I can, and I would seek your support to bring the Tasman district back into focus on core services, affordability of rates, improving our environment, and the Southern Link. Thank you for listening to me.
Cynthia McConville, you're standing in the local body elections for council. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Right, Graham. For a long time I've had a real interest in council affairs. I've gone along to meetings. I've been quite a strong community person, and I've stood up for people in the community when I felt there was an injustice, and usually that's been a council related matter. I've got a strong business background. I've owned tourism and hospitality businesses in the Nelson region. Prior to that I was in a corporate environment in Auckland. I managed New Zealand's largest private sector payroll, so I have quite a strong business and financial background, but I also have a real interest in people.
And Cynthia, why should the good people of Nelson vote for you?
I really care about community, Graham. I care about people, and I love this city. I'm passionate about Nelson. I'd like to make it a better place for everyone. And that may be rather difficult to do, because I realise if I do get on council, probably half of the people are going to like what I do and the other half won't.
Yeah, we can't please everyone all the time, can you?
No.
And we went down to the Saturday market where we had our candidates market in the weekend, and we got some questions from people. And Christine, Kathy and Chris had these questions for us.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, will you support and push for a living wage of $19.80 an hour to not only minimum waged council workers, but also the people who gain from the lucrative contracts that they get from council?
Supporting a living wage for me is fundamental to the well-being of our community. I don't like to see people working a 40-hour week and not being paid what I consider a wage that they can meet their living expenses on. So I do support living wage, but I think as a councillor it's something we're going to have to look at stage by stage. Firstly with our employees in council, and then with individual council contracts and with council-owned companies as well.
Okay.
What are you going to do to provide more cost-effective transport from Nelson through to Tasman for people that work and live in the city?
The only way for something to be cost-effective is to have a high demand for it. And that's really the challenge, is how to get more people onto buses.
What is it that you're proposing to do for Stoke, which I kind of refer to as the forgotten suburb?
Chris, that's a really tricky one. When I look at Stoke and the facilities, the resources that are there, the new community centre, Saxton Field, Saxton Stadium, library, what I'd like you to do is come along to the candidates meeting that Nelson Residents Association are holding on the 10th of September and tell us, what it is that you want for Stoke. I'm really keen to hear from the people.
Cynthia, there were some questions and issues from the people on the street. How about some of the concerns and issues that are important to you?
I have quite a strong environmental background that I haven't mentioned yet. So I'm a supporter of the Nelson Nature Program. I'm a former Nelson North Reserves officer for Forest and Bird. I helped establish the Hururangi Marine Reserve in Nelson. I'm also very business friendly, and I'd like to see more public-private partnership in capital projects such as the River Precinct development and also the Haven Precinct as well. So I'm a supporter of the Southern Link. I do believe we need the road with 27 empty shops in Nelson, and also with the potential for people in Stoke. We've got 50% of our population living in Stoke and Taunanui, to go out to Richmond to shop. That's a worry to me. I want to see a vibrant CBD. I also want to see our waterfront developed for safe cycling and walking. I'm convener of Nelson Walkers Unite, so I've also spent a lot of time talking to people who walk, and I'd love to see a good promenade on our waterfront leading to a seaside village. I do believe that businesses suffer in Te Hunanui considerably. I don't think Te Hunanui has ever had its day because of the heavy transport and the amount of traffic that goes through there. But I also believe Victory suffers for the very same reason, that there's not enough traffic through there. And I think that we could see a much more enhanced precinct, modern and attractive in Victory, if we do have the road.
Cynthia, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you,
Good
Graham.
luck. There was an interesting debate on the 28th of July regarding Nelson's Council's participation in the Local Government New Zealand Excellence Programme. One of the 4 priorities is transparency in financial decision making.
A quite straightforward matter, I would hope. There's a recommendation there that we receive the report and confirm our involvement. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Fulton. Any discussion? I think it's quite clear. I'll put the discussion. Councillor Barker.
Yeah, just the question of the cost, 15 to 27,000 over 3 years. It's is it unbudgeted but manageable?
Chief Executive.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Yes, it is. It is unbudgeted. This is part of our financial strategy, that we aren't keeping pools of money that, pots of money all over the place. When we need unbudgeted money, we come back and we address that in a meeting, either in a committee meeting or council.
Hopefully from a surplus.
If Nelson Council's idea of excellence in financial transparency is the Mayor and CEO stashing pots of money around the place for unbudgeted expenses, one has to wonder what will local governments say about this kind of slush fund in their report. The question is, where does Council hide these pots of money and are we being rated for it?